My girlfriend texted, "I told my boss we're in an open relationship so he'd stop feeling guilty." I replied, "How considerate." Then I printed the screenshots and sent them to HR with a subject line, "Unsolicited disclosure." When her company announced an investigation into inappropriate conduct, she called me sobbing from the parking lot. I'm still processing everything that's happened over the past month. It's been a hell of a roller coaster. But I figured I'd share my story here since I've been lurking for years. Maybe it'll help someone else who finds themselves in a similar situation. For context, I'm 42, own my own small construction company, mostly residential renovations, and have been dating Melissa, 39, for just over 3 years. We don't live together. I own my house outright, and she has a condo downtown closer to her office. We've been exclusive since about 3 months in, or at least that's what I thought. Melissa works in corporate sales for a tech company and makes decent money. One thing I appreciated about our relationship was that we both had our own careers, our own money, and neither of us needed financial support from the other. We split dates pretty evenly, alternated who paid for dinner, and generally had what I thought was a healthy, balanced relationship. About 6 months ago, she got a new boss. Let's call him Ryan. From the moment he arrived, it was Ryan this and Ryan that, constantly. At first, I didn't think much of it. She was excited about having a boss who actually understood the industry and who was going to shake things up. Fine, whatever. But then I started noticing changes. She began staying late at the office more frequently. There were suddenly more team happy hours than ever before. She'd come home from these events slightly buzzed and talk about how Ryan was revolutionizing the department or how he had such a fresh perspective. I'll admit, I started feeling a little uneasy, but I kept it to myself. I'm not the jealous type, and I've always believed in trusting your partner until they give you a reason not to. The first real red flag came when she started dressing differently for work. Melissa has always dressed professionally, slacks, blouses, that kind of thing. But suddenly she was wearing more form-fitting dresses, spending more time on her makeup, and generally putting in more effort for the office than she ever had before. One night, she was in the shower at my place, and her phone kept buzzing. I'm not proud of it, but I glanced at her phone on the nightstand. There were multiple messages from Ryan, work, and they didn't sound very professional. Things like, "You looked amazing in that dress today," and "Still thinking about our conversation in my office." I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I started paying more attention to how often she mentioned him, how she acted when she talked about work, and any inconsistencies in her stories about where she'd been or what she'd been doing. About a month ago, we were having dinner at my house when she got a text and immediately flipped her phone face down. She seemed agitated and checked it a few more times during dinner when she thought I wasn't looking. Later, when she fell asleep on the couch watching a movie, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked her messages. What I found made my blood run cold. There were dozens of messages between her and Ryan, many of them flirtatious and some downright inappropriate. The most recent ones were about some work conference they'd both be attending in Chicago the following week. From the messages, it was clear they were planning to share a room, despite the company booking separate ones. I took screenshots and sent them to myself, then put her phone back exactly as I'd found it. I didn't confront her that night. I wanted to see how deep this rabbit hole went. The next morning, Melissa told me she had a mandatory work conference in Chicago the following week. She acted as if it was a last-minute thing that she'd just found out about. I played along, told her I'd miss her, but understood work obligations came first. The week she was gone, I did some digging. Through some mutual friends, I learned that Ryan was also conveniently out of the office that same week. I checked her social media and saw she'd posted a few generic conference photos, but nothing that actually showed her attending any events. The location tags were all from tourist spots in Chicago, not the convention center where the conference was supposedly being held. When she returned, she was different, distracted, on her phone constantly, and making excuses to cut our time together short. She started having more work emergencies that required her to go to the office on weekends. It was painfully obvious what was happening, but I wanted irrefutable evidence before I made my next move. Then, last Sunday, I got it. We were spending the day together at my place, supposedly relaxing and catching up. She'd been on her phone more than usual, and when she went to take a shower, I heard the familiar buzz of an incoming message. I looked at her phone and saw a text from Ryan. "When are you going to tell him? I'm tired of sneaking around." While she was still in the shower, I saw her response as the messages continued to come in. And that's when I got the text that's in the title of this post. She wrote back to him, "I told my boss we're in an open relationship, so he'd stop feeling guilty." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Not only was she cheating, but she was lying to her boss and affair partner about our relationship to make him feel better about their affair. The audacity was breathtaking. When she came out of the shower, I simply handed her her phone and said, "Message from Ryan." The color drained from her face as she saw the notification on the screen. "How long have you known?" she asked quietly. "Long enough," I replied. "So we're in an open relationship now? Interesting. Must have missed that conversation." She immediately went into damage control mode. "It's not what you think. Ryan and I are just close colleagues. I only told him that, so he'd stop asking so many questions about my personal life." "How considerate of you," I said. Then I told her to leave my house. She tried to call me multiple times that evening, but I didn't answer. Instead, I was busy organizing the screenshots I'd taken over the past few weeks and printing them out. I also searched her company's website and found their HR department's email address. The next morning, I sent an email to HR with the subject line, "Unsolicited Disclosure." In the email, I wrote that I was Melissa's boyfriend, that I'd recently become aware of an inappropriate relationship between her and her direct supervisor, Ryan, and that I was concerned about potential workplace harassment or coercion. I attached the screenshots as evidence and said I felt obligated to report this situation. I didn't do this out of pure vengeance. If Ryan was her boss, there was a clear power imbalance, and the company needed to be aware of it. Plus, I'm sure their behavior violated some company policies, especially if they were misusing company funds by pretending to go to conferences just to hook up. 2 days later, I got a brief reply from HR thanking me for bringing this to their attention and assuring me they would investigate the matter thoroughly. I didn't expect to hear anything else from them, as I wasn't an employee. Fast forward to yesterday. I was at a job site when my phone started blowing up with calls from Melissa. After the 6th call in a row, I finally answered. "What did you do?" she screamed into the phone. She was clearly distraught, her voice breaking between sobs. "What happened?" I asked calmly. "They called everyone in the department into a meeting this morning. They announced there's an investigation into inappropriate conduct between a supervisor and a subordinate. They didn't name names, but everyone knows it's about me and Ryan." She was practically hysterical. "I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot. I can't go back in there. Everyone was looking at me." "Sounds like an HR issue to me," I replied. "You should probably talk to them about it." "Did you report us? How could you do this to me?" "I didn't do anything to you, Melissa. I simply made sure the company was aware of what you and Ryan were doing. What happens now is between you, Ryan, and your employer." "My career is ruined. Ryan's been put on administrative leave pending the investigation. They've scheduled me for an interview with HR and the legal team tomorrow morning. What am I supposed to tell them?" "The truth might be a good start," I suggested. "Novel concept, I know." She continued to sob, alternating between begging me to retract my complaint and accusing me of ruining her life out of jealousy. I finally cut her off. "You lied to me for months. You cheated on me with your boss. You made me look like a fool, and now you're upset because there might be consequences for your actions? That's not how the world works, Melissa. Please," she begged. "I'll break things off with Ryan. We can work through this. I made a mistake." "No, a mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on the way home. What you did was make a series of deliberate choices to betray my trust. We're done. Good luck with HR." I hung up and blocked her number. Then I blocked her on all social media and told our mutual friends that we'd broken up and I didn't want to discuss the details. Later that night, one of her colleagues who I'd met at a company party and had always gotten along with sent me a message. Don't know what went down between you and Melissa, but the office is wild right now. Ryan cleared out his desk this afternoon, and Melissa had a 2-hour meeting with HR. Never seen anything like it. I didn't respond, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a certain satisfaction knowing that their actions had consequences. This morning, I received another email from her company's HR department thanking me for my report and informing me that they had taken appropriate action based on their investigation. They also assured me that my identity had been kept confidential throughout the process, though obviously Melissa knew I was the one who reported them. As for me, I'm focusing on my business and trying to move forward. Yes, it hurts to have been betrayed like this. Yes, I'm angry that she lied to my face for months, but I refuse to let her actions define my life or my future relationships. Some friends have suggested I was too harsh, that I should have just broken up with her without involving her workplace. But the way I see it, if you're going to have an affair with your boss and lie about your relationship status to make him feel better about it, you deserve whatever comes your way. So that's my story. I'd love to say I saw warning signs earlier, but the truth is, sometimes people just show you who they really are when you least expect it. The silver lining is that now I know, and I can move on knowing I stood up for myself. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To answer some common questions. Yes, I'm sure it was an actual affair and not just workplace flirtation. The messages I saw were explicit enough to remove any doubt. No, I don't feel bad about reporting them to HR. Their relationship created a power imbalance that could affect other employees, and they were likely misusing company resources. Yes, I've already changed the locks, even though Melissa never had a key to my house. Better safe than sorry. For those asking if this could be considered revenge porn or invasion of privacy, no. I never shared intimate photos or videos, there weren't any, just text conversations that proved the inappropriate workplace relationship. I've heard through mutual friends that Melissa was put on a performance improvement plan and transferred to another department. Ryan apparently resigned to pursue other opportunities. Corporate speak for quit before we could fire you. Eat it too. It's been about 2 weeks now and I thought I'd share a final update. Melissa showed up at my house last weekend, completely unannounced. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She begged for another chance, said she'd made the biggest mistake of her life, and that she'd do anything to fix things between us. I listened to her for about 5 minutes, then simply said, "I wish you the best, but we have nothing left to discuss." Closed the door and went back to watching the game. She stayed on my porch crying for another 20 minutes before finally leaving. One of our mutual friends told me she's been telling people that I overreacted, and that it wasn't that serious between her and Ryan. Apparently, she's trying to save face. Whatever helps her sleep at night, I guess. As for me, I've thrown myself into work, started hitting the gym more regularly, and even signed up for a woodworking class I've been putting off for years. Life goes on, and honestly, it's going pretty well without the drama. Thanks again for all the support. It helped more than you know. Edit 3. Final update, I promise. It's been about a month now since my last update. I ran into Ryan's wife at the grocery store yesterday. Yes, he was married, something I didn't know until after all this went down. Turns out someone from the office anonymously tipped her off about the investigation, and she left him. She's filing for divorce. She recognized me from company parties and actually thanked me. Said she'd suspected something was going on for months, but could never prove it. We ended up getting coffee and comparing notes. Surreal experience, but oddly healing for both of us, I think. Melissa, meanwhile, has apparently started telling people that I was controlling, and that's why she sought comfort elsewhere. Classic rewriting of history. A few people who don't know me well might believe her, but anyone who knows us both knows that's complete BS. I've had a few people suggest I should feel guilty about potentially ruining 2 careers. I don't. They made their choices, and now they're living with the consequences. That's how adult life works. Anyway, that's it from me. Time to close this chapter completely and move forward. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I've been sitting here staring at my screen for a while, Not sure if I should post this final update, but what the hell? It's been about 3 months since everything went down, and some pretty unexpected things have happened. First, about a month after my last update, I got a letter in the mail, an actual paper letter, handwritten. It was from Melissa. Unlike her previous attempts to contact me, this wasn't a desperate plea to get back together. It was an actual apology, a real one. She wrote that after some intensive therapy, apparently mandatory if she wanted to keep her job, she'd come to understand the extent of her betrayal and the pain she'd caused. She took full responsibility for her actions, didn't make excuses, and didn't ask for forgiveness. She just wanted me to know that she recognized the harm she'd done, both to me and to herself. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to, and I wasn't sure I ever would be. But I'll admit, it did give me some closure. Then about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Ryan's wife, Sarah. We'd kept in loose contact after our coffee meetup, checking in on each other occasionally. She called to tell me that she'd finalized her divorce and was moving to Arizona to be closer to her family. She thanked me again for inadvertently helping her discover the truth and free herself from a marriage that had been unhealthy for years. As for my business, it's thriving. I landed a major contract renovating a historic building downtown, the kind of project I've always dreamed of. I've had to hire 3 new crew members just to keep up with the workload. I've also started dating again, casually. Nothing serious yet, but it feels good to know that what happened with Melissa didn't destroy my ability to trust or connect with someone new. Last week, I drove past Melissa's condo building on my way to a job site. For the first time, I didn't feel that pang of anger or hurt. I just felt nothing. And that's when I knew I'd truly moved on. So I guess that's the real end of this story. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about making the other person suffer. It's about making sure they face the appropriate consequences for their actions, and then building a better life for yourself afterward. Thanks for coming along for the ride, Reddit. It's been therapeutic sharing this journey with you all.